Okay, you have some skill.
Do you remember that time when just hearing the opening music, seeing the screen fill with cascading green code was enough to make everyone sit up straight in front of an old TV? Back then, we watched The Matrix to be overwhelmed to get goosebumps as Neo dodged bullets, to hold our breath through every gunfight, and to believe that somewhere in our own lives, a red pill might be waiting. But time passed. Curved TVS became 4K screens. And that film, once considered nearly perfect when examined more closely, began to reveal details we never noticed before. Obvious green screens, car doors opening and then opening again. Walls that magically heal themselves, or bullets that simply evaporate from the floor. So today, let's return to The Matrix to explore 10 fun, amusing, and genuinely laugh out loud movie mistakes. 10 Dodge. This a line that became legend.
Only human.
Dodge this.
If you had to pick one line to represent The Matrix, many people would hesitate for exactly 0 seconds before saying, "Dodge this." Back then, when Trinity delivered that line, the entire theatre seemed to stop breathing. Short, sharp, cold. No explanation, no philosophy. Just absolute confidence in a moment of execution. In that instant, Trinity was no longer a supporting character or Neo's companion. She was the Matrix in miniature, precise, decisive, non-negotiable. The agent falls, clean, efficient. The audience is satisfied in the purest action movie sense. At the time, no one asked how the bullet travelled or cared about the shooting angle. All that mattered was this: he deserved to be shot, and he was shot. But when you watch it again with a slower, clearer eye, a small problem emerges. The agent isn't standing directly in front of Trinity. The angle isn't straight. The distance and positioning are far from ideal for a perfectly centered shot to the forehead. By the logic of physics, the odds of that hit are actually quite low. And yet the bullet does it anyway, accurate to a suspicious degree, as if it didn't follow a trajectory but came with instructions. The destination was decided in advance. This is a very deliberate cinematic choice. A bullet to the forehead creates a stronger, more iconic, more final image than any physically accurate trajectory ever could. Physics steps aside to make room for the moment. Logic is sacrificed, but emotion is pushed to its maximum. And in The Matrix, that makes perfect sense. Bullets don't need to obey physics, they only need to obey the line. Dodge this isn't a challenge, it's a sentence. And once the sentence is passed, the bullet simply finds where it needs to go to end the story. 9. Neo awakens a moment. Everyone still gets goosebumps from.
Now get up.
For many people, Neo standing up after he has already died is the most unforgettable cinematic memory of The Matrix. The first time you see it, it almost takes your breath away. Everything slows down, sound pulls back, the world goes quiet in a completely different way. And then the Matrix code appears no longer a concept, but something you can actually see. Bullets fly toward him and then stop in mid-air. Not because Neo dodges better, but because he has stopped playing by the old rules. This isn't just an action scene. It's the moment a character and the audience changes the way they see reality. When Neo raises his hand, every bullet freezes. When he lowers it, they fall to the floor, clinking heavily. That sound feels real, physical, very much like bullets. Everyone remembers that metallic clatter. It makes the moment believable, as if the Matrix still respects basic laws. But just seconds later, as Neo continues fighting the agent, those bullets vanish completely. They're no longer on the floor, no longer in the frame. as if they never existed and the moment we just witnessed was only a temporary render. This is a deliberate editing choice. Leaving the bullets would clutter the frame, obstruct movement, and disrupt the rhythm of the fight. So they're erased to make room for a clean, powerful battle one where Neo is no longer hindered by trivial things like bullets. And ironically, this is the Matrix's most correct mistake. Once Neo is the one, bullets no longer matter. They don't need to exist anymore. Because when you can see the source code of reality, physical logic is just another line of code, and that line can be deleted at any time without asking permission. 8. Bullet time and the guns that evaporated from reality. If you ask people to recall the moment that made them gape in awe the first time they saw The Matrix, many will immediately think of bullet time. Neo bends backward, space freezes sound, nearly disappears, and bullets glide past so slowly you can see their paths. Back then, we didn't call this a visual effect. We called it magic. Bullet time doesn't just slow bullets, it slows the viewer's thoughts. For a few seconds, the world stops operating by familiar rules, and we accept it completely without doubt, without questions, until we watch it again. Before bullet time begins, Neo drops his gun. This is clearly shown in the preceding shots. By normal logic, those guns should be somewhere on the floor in the frame, or at least exist in the space. But when bullet time kicks in, the guns are gone. Not in Neo's hands, not on the ground. Not anywhere. Space slows down. Bullets slow down. Only the guns cease to exist. Then, when Neo hits the ground, the miracle happens. The gun reappears neatly positioned for him to pick up and continue fighting. This is the result of how the action was shot and edited. Bullet time is built from multiple separate shots, prioritizing composition and visual impact above all else. Details that don't serve the image, like guns lying around on the floor, are removed to keep the frame clean and cool. The audience doesn't notice because they're overwhelmed. When your eyes are still tracking bullets drifting through space like a dream, no one is looking for a missing gun. And that's what makes it fascinating. The Matrix doesn't trick you with logic. It tricks you with emotion, and you go along with it willingly. 7. Neo jumps from the building when green screens and safety harnesses betray reality. There are moments in The Matrix that, no matter how many times I've seen them, still make my heart beat slow to match the character's breathing. Neo standing on the edge of the building is one of those moments. The wind howls, the city stretches out below like a bottomless abyss, and Morpheus remains calm at the other end of the line, delivering a sentence that would become iconic. "I can only show you the door. You have to walk through it." This isn't just a jump, it's a test of faith, courage, and Neo's sense of self. The first time we watched it, no one thought about technique. We were afraid for Neo, tense about his decision, and disappointed when he fell straight down instead of flying as we hoped. But when you slow it down, when you revisit it with adult eyes, the Matrix begins to reveal a small crack in the very reality it tries to construct. The moment Neo starts his run-up, the background behind him suddenly feels off. The buildings lack depth. The lighting doesn't quite match the movement, and the sense of space feels oddly flat. That's the CGI and green screen pushed to the limit by 1999 standards, good enough to fool audiences back then, but no longer subtle under today's HD scrutiny. It doesn't stop there. As Neo launches himself off the edge, if you look closely at his torso, you can see a safety harness faintly visible beneath his clothing. It's an extremely small detail, almost invisible at normal speed, but unmistakable when you step through frame by frame. Reality is broken not by the Matrix, but by the necessities of on-set safety. Why does this mistake exist? Because this is one of the most dangerous scenes in the film. Keanu Reeves could not and was never allowed to make that jump for real. The Wachowskis had to choose between human safety and visual perfection. And they chose correctly: protect the actor and accept a technical scar. 6. Cypher and the evolving stake. When props can't handle philosophy.
Ignorance is bliss.
Would you agree that the conversation between Cypher and Agent Smith is one of the most memorable scenes in the film? Ignorance is bliss. Cypher knows the Matrix is fake, yet still wants to go back as long as he can live inside a comfortable illusion. While he talks about lies and choice, sitting in front of him is a stake, the perfect symbol of artificial pleasure. But that stake isn't consistent. In the first shot, it's rare, red bloody, soft and juicy. You can practically taste it just by looking. But when the camera cuts to Agent Smith and then back to Cypher, the steak is suddenly well done, dark brown with no trace of its earlier rarity, as if it has gone through a rapid evolutionary process. This is a very familiar prop mistake. The scene was shot over hours with multiple takes and angles. A steak can't stay the same. It may have been replaced, lighting may have altered its colour. In editing, 2 different moments were stitched together and the steak changed. The audience doesn't notice because the dialogue is too powerful. Cypher's betrayal, Smith's cold gaze, the philosophy of false reality, all of it commands total attention. No one scrutinises a piece of meat in a scene about the soul. Looking back, this mistake almost works as a perfect metaphor. In The Matrix, everything is fake, even that delicious-looking steak. And the fact that it changes only proves one thing: what Cypher chooses was never real, no matter how tempting it appeared. 5. Morpheus and the sunglasses. When a memory used to be cool.
I know exactly what you mean. Let me tell you why you're here.
Anyone who saw The Matrix for the first time probably remembers Morpheus sitting across from Neo. His voice deep and measured, and those opaque black sunglasses that seemed to reflect nothing at all. Back then, those glasses were so cool that just wearing them made you feel wiser than everyone else. They weren't just an accessory, they were a symbol of awakening, of someone who had seen the truth and no longer needed eye contact. When Morpheus talks about the Matrix, we don't listen with logic. We listen, we believe, and we're pulled along by every word. Small screens, low resolution. Everything was just blurry enough to feel mysterious. No one asked what the glasses were made of. No one cared what they reflected. If you pay attention in one angle, Morpheus's lenses are perfectly matte, exactly right for someone who knows the truth. But change the angle slightly, and the lenses suddenly become mirror-like. Studio lights the surrounding space. Even movement in front of him are clearly reflected. A film about hiding reality, and the glasses accidentally reveal it. This is a very human lighting mistake. A material that looks great from one angle can betray you from another. The crew had to choose light the face properly or preserve the character of the glasses. And so the glasses reflect. Back then, low-resolution TVs saved this moment. Today, sharp screens forgive no one. But in hindsight, that reflective moment fits the Matrix perfectly. When you look too closely at reality, sometimes what you see isn't the truth. It's the system constructing it right in front of you. 4. The Oracle's cookie. Sweet nostalgia and a vanishing bite.
Take a cookie. I promise by the time you're done eating it, you'll feel right as rain.
I still remember the very particular feeling of watching Neo meet the Oracle for the first time. Up to that point, The Matrix is all guns, chases, and heavy philosophy. Then suddenly it slows down inside a small kitchen. A cramped space, warm lighting, children running back and forth, and the smell of cookies, imaginary as it may be, are enough to make the Matrix feel human for the first time. Back then, many people remembered the Oracle not because she was a prophet, but because she felt exactly like that neighborhood aunt who somehow knows everything about your family. The Oracle offers Neo a cookie. Neo takes a bite. Just one small, ordinary action. No red or blue pill, no saving humanity, no prophecy, just a bite of a cookie. And yet that moment makes the audience believe Neo has stepped 1 foot into his destiny. Fate for the first time is expressed through a bite mark. Then the film cuts. When the camera returns, the cookie is completely intact. No bite, no teeth marks, whole and perfect, as if Neo never touched it. And the entire moment before was just another version of reality that has been overwritten. This is a very familiar continuity error. The scene was filmed over many takes, stretching across hours. The cookie may have been replaced, or simply no one remembered its exact state from the previous take. In editing, the emotion and dialogue were preserved while the cookie was reset. The audience doesn't notice because the atmosphere of the scene is too strong. The Oracle talks about choice, about the future, about Neo not being the one yet. No one scrutinizes a cookie in a scene about destiny. Looking back, this mistake feels like a perfect metaphor for the Matrix. In that world, everything can be rewritten. Memories can be edited, reality can be reset, and a bite that disappears, just a line of code that's been refreshed. 3. Morpheus's ear. Remembering a scene that was chillingly terrifying.
It's the smell, if there is such a thing. I feel saturated by it.
Do you remember how it felt the first time you watched Morpheus being interrogated? No gunfire, no brutal punches, just a white room, cold lighting, and Agent Smith standing uncomfortably close enough to unsettle you. He speaks slowly, evenly, without raising his voice or snarling. Then he pinches Morpheus's ear gently, like he's adjusting a misaligned object. That calmness is what truly sends a chill down your spine. Back then, we didn't analyze details. No one watched Smith's hand. No one paid attention to Morpheus's ear. We only saw a hero being completely overpowered, not by strength, but by total control. Morpheus is no longer a leader. He's just an object under examination. But when you re-watch it with a slower, more careful eye, a small detail begins to betray reality. In one angle, Morpheus's ear is pinched between Smith's thumb and index finger. Cut to another angle and the ear is suddenly between the index and middle fingers. The position clearly changes as if the ear itself has shifted to follow the script. This is a classic editing continuity error. The interrogation scene was filmed many times from many angles with varying emotional intensity. Smith's hand moves naturally with the performance, but when the takes are stitched together bodily, continuity isn't preserved. Priority is given to the face, the eyes, the voice, not the ear. The audience doesn't notice because their gaze is locked onto Smith's menace. But once you see it, you can't unsee it. And it's very Matrix when you're completely controlled, even your own body no longer belongs to you. Reality in the hands of an agent can always be adjusted down to the smallest detail. 2. Under the bridge on a rainy night, the car door that opens before it opens again.
What the hell is this?
It's necessary, Neo.
Do you remember how this scene felt the first time you saw it? A rainy night. Dim yellow lights, water dripping under the bridge. Neo stands alone, shoulders hunched, eyes lost, like someone who has just realized there's something deeply wrong with the world he lives in. No action, no visual effects. Just a dark atmosphere and unease seeping into every frame. It's one of the most noir moments in The Matrix. Then Trinity appears. The black car glides in slowly like a ghost. Back then, we just thought it was cool, very cool. No one thought about the car door, but if you freeze the first shot as the car stops in front of Neo, you'll notice something strange. The door is already half open. Trinity is still inside, making no motion to open it. Neo hasn't even stepped forward yet. The door is already in pickup mode, as if the car knew Neo would get in. Just a few seconds later, when the camera cuts to another angle, something odd happens. Trinity opens the car door again, decisively clearly, as if it had been completely closed. Two angles, two different states of the same door, two parallel realities. This is a very typical continuity error. The scene was filmed at different times across multiple takes. In one take, the door was left open for ease of performance. In another, it was closed to create a cleaner visual rhythm. In editing, those two moments were accidentally placed back to back, and the door ends up both opened and unopened. In hindsight, the mistake feels almost symbolic. A door opening at the wrong time in a film about stepping through doors of perception. Perhaps even The Matrix sometimes opens the door a little too early. 1. The bathroom fight. A wall that heals as if it were never punched.
It's an agent!
I vividly remember the feeling of watching the fight between Morpheus and Agent Smith in the bathroom for the first time. No bullet time, no slow-motion gunfire, just two bodies colliding in a tight, cold space. This isn't a fight designed to show off effects, it's an act of violence, pure and oppressive. Smith doesn't punch to win, he punches to break Morpheus's faith, to break the will of someone who dares to believe humanity can escape the Matrix. Every blow is heavy, slow, and deliberate. In the middle of that brutality, there's an incredibly satisfying moment. Morpheus is slammed into the wall. The impact is so violent that tiles explode. The wall cracks open, exposing what's underneath. Back then, that detail convinced audiences this fight was real, truly painful, with no mercy. But just a few shots later, when the camera angle changes, something strange happens. The wall is completely intact. No cracks, no damage. As if that devastating punch never occurred. This is a classic continuity error born from practical filmmaking. The wall-breaking shot was filmed separately using a special breakaway set. Subsequent shots reused the original location due to time budget and scheduling constraints. The crew had to choose reshoot everything or sacrifice physical logic to keep production moving. They chose the latter. The audience doesn't notice because the fight is too intense. The pace is fast, the cuts relentless, the emotion overwhelming. No one has time to scrutinize a wall while Morpheus is being crushed. Looking back, this mistake actually fits The Matrix perfectly. In a world where reality can be rewritten every second, a self-healing wall doesn't seem that absurd. Perhaps even the concrete here is running a program. In the end, after all the doors that open too early, the self-healing walls, the bullets that vanish, and the cookies that forget they've been bitten, The Matrix still stands. These movie mistakes don't make it any less great. On the contrary, they remind us that the film was made by human beings with studio lights, props, safety harnesses, multiple takes, and countless decisions balancing safety, emotion, and technique. Back then, we believed in The Matrix with pure emotion. Today, we love The Matrix with understanding. What about you? When you re-watch The Matrix today, have you spotted any details that made you laugh and nod at the same time? Leave a comment below and let us know. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe so we can continue exploring the unbelievable things hidden behind cinema's greatest icons.